Save the Planet, Kill Yourself was the shot heard around the world. It really was. It has legs. I mean, the Church of Euthanasia has legs too, but Save the Planet, Kill Yourself really had legs.
Save the planet! Kill yourself! Save the planet! Kill yourself!
Au début des années 90, Chris Korda fonde à Boston la Church of Euthanasia, avec un seul commandement, tu ne procréeras point. Pour restaurer l'équilibre entre humains et non-humains, l'Église promeut la réduction volontaire de la population à travers 4 piliers. Avortement, suicide, sodomie et cannibalisme, mais toujours dans un grand éclat de rire. Accompagné de son acolyte Pastor Kim et de l'anarchiste Vermin Suprême, révérend Korda va au contact de l'Amérique conservatrice et la confronte sans filet à ses slogans chocs.
During the time of the church's greatest activity, we added another billion people to the Earth's population, approximately. And so, yeah, I think we could call that an epic fail. The right way to look at it is that the Church of Euthanasia was the world's first anti-human religion. There had to be a world's first anti-human religion, and that was us. It's a new thing, and so it's very dramatic and it's very different. And it would have been a shame for something that different and important to be completely ignored. Well, we took care of that. It definitely wasn't ignored. By the time we got done, anti-humanism was no longer a fringe concept.
First, let's meet the founders, Reverend Chris Korda, Pastor Kim, and Vermin X.
Coup de maître de cet agite-propre, le passage de l'église de l'euthanasie au Jerry Springer Show en 97.
Okay, well, I'm transgendered because being transgendered is part of balance, and that's what we're here for, is to balance humans with the other species on the planet. And this female power, okay? Because this woman is a goddess, and what does being a goddess mean? It means to have power over life and death, the power to control life within your body. She can create life, and she should have the power to destroy it too.
If only we could see the stuff that was cut, it was just so amazing. We'd had all these props concealed in our clothing and stuff so that we could even when Jerry wasn't talking to one of us, we'd still be communicating to the camera. So we had signs, we had props, we had many different things that we would pull out to try and change the conversation. He'd never really had such intelligent guests before. I mean, we just completely made a mockery of his efforts to control us, and in the end, he cleared the stage.
À 57 ans, celle qui porte la double casquette de chef de culte et de productrice de musique électronique vient de s'installer temporairement à Berlin pour se concentrer davantage à sa carrière de compositrice. Son nouveau QG, un petit appartement où elle vient d'emménager avec 2 valises et le strict minimum.
More wigs. It's important to have options. Different wigs for different occasions.
Tu nous racontes ton enfance, Chris?
I'd rather not. No, because it's there's things I'd rather not get into. I feel that I had a very unusual childhood and that had good points and bad points. But it's part of what made me who I am, and the less I say about it, probably the better. But it was super extreme. And I'm a super extreme person, so I think there's probably some cause and effect.
Si Chris se ferme, c'est que sa famille lui interdit de l'évoquer sous peine de procès. Élevée à New York dans les années 60, Chris, née Christopher, est la petite nièce de Sir Alexander Korda, magnat du cinéma anglais et producteur du Voleur de Bagdad. Elle est aussi la fille de Michael Korda, romancier et éditeur britannique, devenu dirigeant d'un géant de l'édition américain. À l'adolescence, Chris fuit New York pour Boston, où elle suit des études de musique au prestigieux Berklee College. Guitariste avec des groupes de rock la nuit et développeuse de logiciels le jour, elle mène une vie qui semble toute tracée jusqu'à l'été 91 où, visitant la très queer Provincetown, elle s'assume enfin pleinement en tant que travestie. Un changement de cap radical qui va bouleverser sa vie.
It's fair to say that in 1990 or so, I was really quite stuck. I didn't like my life that much. I felt kind of square, and I just was sort of a workaday person. I got up every morning and I got on the highway and I drove to a job, and I'd always felt uncomfortable with that. I'm not a suburban normal, and I was never going to be a suburban normal. And I felt my decadence and my inner artist struggling to get out. And so this drastic transition that I went through was necessary. It's how I became an artist.
Dans les clubs gays des années 90, Chris découvre la techno et la deep house et décide d'accompagner les discours de l'église d'un pendant musical avec des titres comme Buy More, Sex is Good et bien sûr l'infamous Save the Planet, Kill Yourself.
Why do your leaders lie to you? Why do so many of you believe these lies?
Entre deux DJ sets, Chris travaille désormais à la production de ses prochains albums grâce à ses propres logiciels open source et à la polyrythmie qu'elle a découvert à Berkeley. En parallèle, elle compte bien donner une seconde vie à sa Church of Euthanasia, alors que l'extinction de l'humanité devient une hypothèse crédible.
Ecosystem is failing.
We've built up a huge amount of pressure, right? We've heated the oceans an enormous amount. And for sure, that heat's going to come out and it's going to fuck our shit up unbelievably. The original fully anti-human Church of Euthanasia was mostly about hating people for being such douchebags. But at this point, it's too late for that. That's kind of pointless. It's like kicking somebody when they're down. The new post-anti-human Church of Euthanasia is more about feeling sorry for people than hating them.